All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back to RacingDudes.com, and it's that time of the week where we do our classic divisional rankings. And what could you really say? I think the classic really took shape on last Saturday. We really saw something special. I think we all know who number one is going to be. I still think number 2 through number 10 are going to be interesting. I'll tell you why as we go through them. Let's not save or let's not waste, I should say, a lot of time. There really isn't much to say. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry who number one's going to be. We'll kind of go through the list here. So I'll pull them up now. Here we go. The newest top 10 for this week of the Breeders' Cup Classic. By the way, we are now just 2 months away. I mean, it's really quite incredible how this has snuck up on us. We started doing this way back last part of July, and we're already in the first week of September. So here we go. Top 10, Taba, number 10 for me. We'll see him next in a couple of weeks. The last weekend in September, we will see him in the Pennsylvania Derby. We'll see how he does. He could move up the list with a win there. So we'll kind of see how he runs in that race. Number 9, Hot Rod Charlie, kind of waiting to see where he's going to run next and see what happens with him. But at this point, I think we all know kind of what he is. Hard trier. He might get up and get 3rd or 4th in the Classic, but I don't think he has much of a shot of winning it. Number 8 is Cyberknife, and we've heard he might go to the dirt mile as well, and he'd fit in well in that race. But I think he's earned the right to be on this list here at number 8. I thought, his run in the Travers was solid, and I thought, winning the Haskell, obviously very good. So Cyberknife right there at number 8. How about number 7? It's Country Grammar. This horse was 2nd in the Pacific Classic. That's the great news. The good news, he was beaten 19 3/4 lengths. That's the bad news, I should say. Very bad. So Country Grammar comes in at number 7. He's still a contender for this thing, right? He's still a horse that has a win at the distance. He did win the Dubai World Cup, so he's still there. He's still around, but obviously he was no match for our number 1 ranked horse. Number 6 on the list, American Revolution. And for the second straight race, he was no match for our number 4 ranked horse. That being said, I thought he ran extremely well in the Jockey Club Gold Cup Stakes. He just was no match for Olympiad, but American Revolution, a solid second. I still think he deserves to be up here towards the top, 6 or 7 horses on this list. I think he's pretty solid. He just hadn't been able to beat Olympiad. All right, number 5, Happy Saver, horse that really hasn't threatened to win any one of these big races, but he hits the board in all these big races. He was 2nd behind Flightline in the Met Mile. He was 2nd last time out to Life is Good in the Whitney. So Happy Saver at number 5. That just kind of seems to be where he fits. Number 4 is Olympiad. He's the one that moves up the list the most today. Had to be impressed with his win in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Let's remember we had Olympiad at number 6. We moved him down the list a little bit after his loss in the Whitney, but it wasn't just that he lost. It's just really a no-show. And so you're kind of worried that a horse that was in tremendous form might be tailing off a little bit. That turned out not to be the case. He came back and ran very well in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Easy win at Saratoga. Maybe the Whitney was just a one-off, and this horse is right there. So he's at number 4. He would have a big chance if not for that horse up there at number 1. But he's right there with the rest of these for sure. Number 3 is Epicenter. That was the most impressive race at 1.25 miles that I saw at Saratoga all year long, and maybe other than Flightline, maybe the most impressive race in the country at 1.25 miles, the distance of the Breeders' Cup Classic. So I thought Epicenter was great in the Travers. I think he's earned that shot at number 3. Almost put him number 2, but still didn't because our number 2 horse's Life is Good. I just have too much respect for this horse. I think he's a little more talented than Epicenter, but at 1.25 miles, I think it might start to get a little shaky, but still, I think he is at number 2. And then finally, the most impressive performance I've ever seen since following the sport in 2007 came last Saturday in the Pacific Classic. Flightline with a 19 3/4 win over our 7th ranked horse, Country Grammar. And like I said earlier, the Dubai World Cup winning Country Grammar. Flightline beat this horse by 19 3/4. Unbelievable. Not enough words to describe it. A 126 buyer. That's the 2nd fastest ever. A 152 time form US number. The fastest ever. I've never seen one. I think 141 may have been the fastest, or 142 that I've ever seen. He gets a 152 for Flightline. It was otherworldly. I know for weeks and weeks I had him ranked number 1, and I kept saying, look, it's all or nothing when it comes to the Breeders' Cup Classic and Flightline. If he was to lose the Pacific Classic, he would not even be ranked because he wouldn't point for this race. He'd be going somewhere else, probably the dirt mile. If he wins, he's going to be number one, and there's not going to be any doubt. Well, whoever would have thought he could have won by 19 3/4? He left absolutely no doubt whatsoever. It was odd to rank a horse number one to start this thing that had never went longer than a mile, but that's what we did, and that's what the majority of people did. And he showed us why we did that and why we thought he could do it, because, wow, it was an incredible performance. Just enjoy it, man. I mean, you're just not going to see that very often. I'm not going to sit here and debate him versus all-time greats. I can just tell you, from a guy who's watched racing since 2007 extensively, and I mean every horse you could think of since 2007 to now, I've watched, I've studied, been a part of one way or the other. They don't hold a candle to this one. He certainly is the best I have ever personally seen. And I don't know how you beat him unless he just does not show up with his best effort. And then obviously you can beat anybody if that's the case. But if he shows up with his best effort, I haven't seen a horse since 2007 that can beat him. Again, I can't really judge past or before that. I know you could go watch video, but you just don't really have a feel for what was happening, what was going on, if you didn't live it or were around the horses during that time. So I have no debate with anybody previous to 2007. If you want to debate 2007 to now, I'm going to say Flightline and just kind of go on from there. So he's number one. I think he's going to be ultra tough, obviously, to beat. I think 2 through 10 are still important to rank. Flightline has had some injury issues, obviously some soundness problems. Keeping him on the track has been a problem. Obviously, he's only ran twice this year. So keep an eye on all these other horses, because if Flightline for some reason does not make the race, he does not show up, all of a sudden these rankings become very important again, and you got to try to have to find who's going to win this race, and it becomes a little bit more wide open. But as of now, it's not wide open whatsoever. It's Flightline. So he is number one. All right, guys, that is it for this week. I would not expect these rankings to change until after the Pennsylvania Derby, which is still a couple of weeks away. So we might do another video next week. We might not, because I don't think there's going to be a lot of changing. We might end up doing one if we get some major news and somebody drops off the list or something like that. But don't expect a couple of or any changes for a couple of weeks now, at least in this division. So, all right, that's it, everybody. Thank you all for watching this once again. I think everybody knew Flightline would be number one, but if you watched and kind of wanted to hear about the other horses, I'm glad you did. So hit like if you liked the video, hit subscribe if you really like it and you want to get alerted when we do any of these, and we'll see you next time.